The Tragedy of Cinema podcast is intended as a family-friendly program that by extension strives to be inclusive to all people regardless of their ethnicity, gender, creed, or any other identifying factors in this incredibly diverse world of ours. With that said, some of the films we discuss may contain serious subject matters or have content considered morally objectionable by today's standards. We do not intend to condone or dismiss these aspects of these films, but our primary focus will be on what we believe the film succeeds at, some fun facts, and our personal enjoyment factors of each film. With that said, we hope you enjoy the show.
Jimbo and Bond take flight. 80s dreams are its delight. In the realm of black and white, movies and TV flow through the stories we all know. Silver screen tales unfold in the magic they bestow. The tragedy of cinema, when memories shimmer. Join us as we toast to the tales we love the most.
I don't suppose they told you anything in Denver about the tragedy we had up here during the winter of 1970? I hired a man named Charles Grady as the winter caretaker. From what I've been told, he seemed like a completely normal individual. But at some point during the winter, he must have suffered some kind of a complete mental breakdown. He ran amok and killed his family with an axe.
Well, you can rest assured, Mr. Ullman, that's not going to happen with me.
That's right.
Mom, do you really want to go and live in that hotel for the winter?
Sure I do. It'll be lots of fun.
The only thing that can get a bit trying up here during the winter is the tremendous sense of isolation.
Is there something bad here?
I fear you will have to deal with this matter in the harshest possible way.
I agreed that I killed you with Danny.
You did this to him, didn't you?
I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash your brains. Here's Johnny.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Tragedy of Cinema podcast. I'm your host, Jimbo, and I'm joined once again by...
Hey, this is your co-host, Bond.
Bond. Tonight, we are taking on a Stephen King movie that I haven't seen. Man, I'm telling you, some of these movies we cover, I haven't seen in decades, and this is no exception. This is The Shining. Bond, when's the last time you watched The Shining before we started recording?
I think I saw this movie about 10 years ago or so. I would say I've seen it. I watch this movie once every 10 years. Every time I watch it, it's different.
Do you consider this a horror movie?
I would say yes. There's a lot of creepy scenes. There's that eerie feeling you get when you watch it. You feel uncomfortable watching it. There's not a lot of jump scares. And I think that we're spoiled when it comes to jump scares, where this movie creeps up on you. There's a lot of blood. There's a lot of murder. Yeah, this has to be a horror movie, man.
I'm leaning more of a psychological horror, not a slasher horror, right? Would that be a fair assumption?
Definitely.
All right, Bob.
Oh, yeah, man.
But before we get going, I know it's your favorite segment of the episode. He hates it when I put a question on him. He said I was going to ask him what his favorite Scatman Crothers movie was.
This part scares me the most out of the whole entire podcast. What is going to be the secret question?
Because nobody, I don't even know what I'm going to ask half the time.
That's what I was going to say. The audience has to realize, the listeners have to realize, I don't know the question beforehand. This is not scripted at all. This is you make up a question on the spot.
Actually,
somehow I am asked to answer it.
Actually, me and Bond don't collude with notes or anything at all before we record. He has no idea what's in my notes. I have no idea what's in his notes. And then what comes out of our mouth comes out of our mouth. So Bond,
it's literally Are you ready to record? Ready, go.
I'm going to ask you a crazy question. This was directed by Stanley Kubrick. Most of the movies he directed were pretty messed up, to say the least. But Bond, what would you say is the most messed up movie that he did, in your opinion?
Most messed up movie that Stanley Kubrick ever put together has got to be A Clockwork Orange.
I have to agree 100%, man.
Oh my gosh. That movie it'll keep you up at night. I don't care how old you are. If you watch that movie, you will be creeped out.
I think I have watched it exactly one time in my life, and there is still scenes in that movie that have stuck with me all these years, because we talked a little bit about it before we went on air. I was telling him about the whole eye scene where they prop his eye open with the metal tongs or whatever, and making him watch those movies or whatever. I'm like, man. And then you got the whole umbrella scene, which we won't cover that on this podcast, but it's shock value right there.
I 100% agree with you, man. Clockwork Orange, I saw it once. I was probably too young to watch it, but I watched it anyway. And there are scenes from that movie that haunt me to this day. Why do I know that in A Clockwork Orange they go to a milk bar? I don't know, but I know there's a milk bar involved. And that's one of the happier scenes.
I know there's an umbrella scene where they're beating a guy down with doing the dance to Singing in the Rain. But enough about Clockwork Orange. We're here to talk about The Shining. So Bond, why don't you take it away?
Hey, The Shining is a 1980 psychological horror film produced and directed by Stanley Kubrick, co-written with the novelist Diane Johnson. You're right. It is based on a Stephen King novel, 1977 novel by the same name. And if you think about it, the novel came out in 77. This movie came out in 80. So they rushed this thing.
Right. Okay, Bond, let me ask you a question. Can you give the definition of shining according to this movie?
It's kind of like an evil version of the Force. It's a clairvoyant kind of...
Like an ESP?
Yeah, it's like an ESP, like a spider sense, if you will, where you could sense bad things happening around you. You're able to communicate with others that also have the shining. So it's some kind of weird communication.
So
ESP.
So I don't know if they ever covered this, but so let's say me and you are both shiners. I guess that's what we're going to call them. Okay. We're both shiners. And let's say our good friend, Brett and Carl are shiners down there in Texas with you. Mm-hmm. So does that mean if I am talking to you telepathically that they can automatically hear what we're saying?
No, because if you're focusing on me, if you're focusing your shine on me, first off, I'm not comfortable with that. Second, if you're focusing your shine on me, I'm the only one that can hear it. You'd have to focus your shine on them, and then they can hear it. It's like using a telephone. It's not a megaphone. It's like a telephone. You could call directly to someone.
They just didn't really make that up really clear in this movie.
Yeah, because when we get to later in the movie, when they're communicating via shine, there's a scene where you kind of like get that where they're communicating just with each other.
Right.
This movie is directed by Stanley Kubrick, screenplay by Stanley Kubrick and Diane Johnson, based on a Stephen King book. Let's see, music by Wendy Carlos and Rachel Eldkin. The music in this movie, if you go back and just listen to the music,
I like it.
Is so good. It creeps you out. There's background sounds in this thing that just, oh my.
And I tell you what else I like about this is that opening scene, the whole way he shot that opening scene of that Volkswagen going up the mountain and the helicopter shot, where it comes all the way down to the car and then it like veers off the mountain and down into the water. It's beautifully shot.
This is pre-drone.
Yeah.
There was no drones back then in 1980.
The guy that was I got it in my notes, but the guy actually put it on like the front of a helicopter and he actually like taped it up there or something. And that's how he got all those awesome shots. I said, that is ridiculous.
Like buzz the car. You're trying to
crop dusted it.
This movie was released on May 23rd, 1980 by Warner Brothers in the United States. But get this, Jimbo. It was released in the United Kingdom on October 2nd by Columbia Pictures.
Huh.
So they actually had like a little crossover, a Columbia Warner distributing company. And so even though it came out in May here in America, it didn't come out until October. So think of the box office numbers, how that would work.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You would have box office numbers coming into America, and then right when America starts to die out, it picks up when you release it in October
Overseas.
in the UK. And of course, this is pre-streaming, so there's no spoilers. You know, unless you know somebody in America that says you got to check out this movie, especially the end.
Send a telegram.
Yeah.
Morse code.
So that's crazy. This movie, let's see. It was 146 minutes long in the premiere, so make sure you have some time to watch it.
It is a long movie.
This is a long movie. Now, as you get older, do you feel this movie, did it still feel as long, over 2.5 hours?
Yes.
Okay. Because for me, it didn't seem as long as it usually does.
To me, when I was watching it, I'm like, well, number one, I don't remember a lot of it because it's been a long time ago, but I was like, there's some of the stuff they could have cut out of here and it doesn't need to be in here and would have made even a shorter movie.
And I'm glad you say that because that's exactly what they did. They cut the movie down from 146 minutes in America to 119 minutes in Europe. So they actually cut almost 30 minutes of the movie out.
Man, I wonder what they missed.
Yeah. Hopefully it's that scene with that naked woman coming out.
The old lady.
The old lady.
Or the young lady.
Well, if you cut out the young lady, you got to cut out the old lady. You can't cut out just one.
All right, I'll take the young lady. You can have the old one. Okay.
Hey, you can't call your props yet. All right, so the budget for this movie in 1980 was $19 million. $19 million in today's budget is $78 million.
That's still.
So I think that's a pretty huge.
That's still not a lot compared to some of the movies today.
What do you think they spent it on? Actors?
No. No. I'll just say that. I think a lot of the budget, because again, it's in my notes, Bond, but before he wanted to shoot the scenes, before he even started shooting, he had every set build on these sound stages. Every set of this, we'll get to it, I forget the name of it, but he used all of them. And it delayed, I believe it's Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom, maybe, or Raiders of the Lost Ark. One of them, it delayed it because they had all the sound stages and everything filled with all of the sets. So I think that probably took a lot of it because, it's fantastic what they did with this, especially the way they chopped it up.
The hotel scenes are amazing.
It is. But I think a lot of it probably went to that, the blood coming out of the elevators too, because it took 9 days to set that scene up. 9 days. And guess how many takes they had to do?
I would assume you could only do one take because once you flood that thing, it's ruined.
Nope. The thing about Kubrick is he is known for doing multiple retakes, probably when it's not even necessary. And we'll talk about that in my notes too.
Well,
he said they were proud of it because they got it in 3 takes, but it took 9 days to set it up. I was like, that is ridiculous.
That's crazy. And there's not even anybody in that scene. It's just a scene of a hallway. This movie was a big budget hit. So this movie, like I said, cost $19 million to make in 1980. It made $48 million in 1980. So translated to $25, that's $188 million today. So this is a $200 million. Yeah, this is a $200 million movie today.
And you know what people fail to realize is this is before DVDs and VHSs and anything. I mean, you would have to wait. I think I originally saw it on like NBC Sunday Night Movie or something. You know, it was one of those, or It might even have been like a mini series broken up over a couple of nights, if I remember right too. I don't remember, but you see. one of these days we're gonna have to break down like how much in VHS sales and DVD sales and all that, how much of that like goes to the overall profit, because it'd be interesting to see like how much it made at the theaters versus what it's made today after simulcasting and syndicating and all that stuff, DVD sales, streaming. Does somebody pay the rights like Netflix, or somebody pay the rights to have it streamed for a year on their servers? You don't know.
I know for a fact that I think the first time I ever saw it was on HBO.
Okay.
So I think that was like early back before they had HBO streaming, just HBO as a channel.
Mm-hmm.
That was like their big premiere movie, probably in October or so. This movie, we have gone over the cast. This movie, of course, stars Jack Nicholson as Jack Torrance. Does an amazing job in this movie.
Fantastic.
He's a Hall of Fame actor. He's in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Great movie.
As good as it gets. He's got a famous scene in A Few Good Men.
You can't handle the truth, Bond.
No, I cannot. He was also in Chinatown.
Yep.
And, of course, he's in Batman.
Wait till they get a load of me.
Where he plays arguably the second best Joker of all time.
Whoa. Well, you saying Cesar Romero's number one?
Oh, yeah. You got to go Cesar Romero.
Right. Heath Ledger did really good, too.
He's all right.
Oh, Bond, don't make me shut this down right now.
He's, if he was alive today, would we still care? Anyway, okay, I digress.
Wow.
I digress. It also stars the wonderful Shelley Duvall. I know she's a heartthrob of yours as Wendy Torrance. This is Jack Nicholson, Jack Torrance's wife. She was in, of course, Popeye.
Can I just say, what did Popeye see in her? Can I just throw that out here? There's not, hey, I'm just going to say, there is not any amount of spinach that I can take that I'm going to like olive oil.
That's going to help you?
That's going to help me with Wendy.
Yeah, she's poor woman.
But you know what? Her acting in this is over the top, but again, we'll talk about why, because Kubrick basically abused her the whole movie.
Yeah, that look on her face, she wasn't acting.
No.
That was the way she always looked on the set. She was in Popeye. She also appears in Annie Hall. One of my favorite unknown movies is Time Bandits.
Oh yeah,
she was in Time. I love Time Bandits, and she was also in the Steve Martin movie Roxanne.
Yep.
Now, here's something. The little boy, Danny Lloyd, plays Danny Doc Torrance. So not really that much of a stretch, right? Jack Nicholson plays Jack Torrance. Danny Lloyd plays Danny Torrance. So I don't know where they were going with that. But he plays Doc. That's his nickname, Doc. And if you're thinking, okay, what else have I seen him in? Probably nothing.
Nope.
No, he actually went on to teach at a tech college in Kentucky.
Yep, Elizabethtown, Kentucky. And it also says that if you even ask him about the movie, you automatically fail and you get kicked out of the class. Like, he doesn't want to talk about it. He's like, I don't remember anything about even filming it. So, and he didn't even see the completed product till he was 17. He didn't even know it was a horror movie that he was filming.
Really? Even though he had the finger going with the red rum?
Right, because the way that Stanley Kubrick was very protective of him, and he made sure he was shielded from everything. So, like, do you remember the scene where Shelley Duvall comes in there carrying him, and she says, there's a woman up there in this room, and she attacked Danny or whatever, and Jack's like, that whole scene, she was actually carrying a life-size doll of him because he didn't want Stanley Kubrick did not want him in those scenes. He didn't want to traumatize him. He did not want him to know it was a horror movie. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, pretty cool.
And plus, I could kind of see that because you know how old that would get every time somebody was in your class. How many times he would have to hear red rum over and over and over again?
Well, if I'm him, I'm embracing that, and I'm going to give a whole lesson on that, just recounting things I don't remember, and maybe even show the movie in class for extra credit.
I would be at every Comic-Con signing autographs.
Oh
too.
Yeah,
right. Oh, this movie also has Scatman Crothers. Scatman Crothers as Dick Halloran. Man, he is so great in this movie, man. He was on TV's Chico and the Man. He's also in The One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. You can watch him or catch him in Silver Streak.
Oh, yeah.
Zapped. You know you love the movie Zapped.
I did like Zapped. Scott Baio won it.
Scott Baio, yeah, that's a great one. And, of course, Twilight Zone, the movie. He was in that one, too. Now, here's something. Barry Nelson plays Stuart Ullman. He is the hotel manager. Okay, so the hotel manager at the beginning gives Jack the job, and he warns Jack Nicholson's character, Jack Torrance, about the last guy who was in charge of the hotel during the break, Mr. Grady. Now, we've seen, actually, may not have seen, but did you know he was the first James Bond?
Who?
Barry Nelson was the first James Bond.
Really?
Yeah, because he was on a TV version of Casino Royale in 1954, predating.
Have you ever seen it?
The movies. I have not, but now I want to see it.
Yeah.
The first James Bond was on television, 1954, Casino Royale, and he played James Bond. That is so cool. Yeah, and he was also in the movie Airport. So as we talk about like all those classic disaster movies of the 70s. Right? Philip Stone played Dilbert Grady. Dilbert Grady was the original caretaker of the Overlook Hotel.
Mm-hmm.
And he was actually in A Clockwork Orange. So it all comes back around. And he was in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. So he probably didn't have to leave that movie set. He probably just stayed there and kept filming. The only other one I saw that was really worth mentioning was the bartender, Lloyd, the bartender.
Yeah.
He was played by Joe Turkel, and he's also in the movie Blade Runner, the classic sci-fi movie Blade Runner.
Did you say who played who was the sheriff or the forest guy that was on the radio with her? Do you remember?
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, he did a pretty good job.
Yeah, was that Bill? Maybe Bill was the other guy on the phone.
You forgot one very important character, and I can't believe you forgot.
Was it the twins?
Well, no, but that's a good one. No, how about they're not twins? They're 8 and 10. They're not twins.
They're not twins.
They're not. They're his daughters. Everybody always says the twins. Everybody says the twins because they're dressed alike. They are not twins. But you forgot Tony.
Oh, Tony.
Who played Tony?
Tony's the little finger. Actually, he lives in his mouth.
Yeah.
Right?
Whose mouth?
Where's Tony? Oh, he lives in Danny's mouth. And Danny says, how come I can't see him? Because he gets shy and he hides. He goes down his throat.
Ain't that creepy? What would you say if you were talking to your kid and he said that? I hope that kid got some help, man, in this movie. You think about it, man.
Your invisible friend taken one step too far. Yeah, Lisa and Louise Burns played the Grady twins, quote unquote twins. I don't know why they look alike. I don't know why they look like twins, because the hotel manager, Mr. Ullman, says they were 8 and 10.
Yep.
Grady had two daughters, 8 and 10. So I don't know why, when you go back through it, they look exactly alike. They dress exactly alike. But that pretty much covers the staff for this one, man. The first thing I think we should talk about is just the overall creepy feeling for this movie.
It's like I said, right from the get-go, starting on that road trip with the cinematography and that music, it's very on edge. It's very unsettling.
It is, and I think that's, say what you will about Kubrick and his directing, that is one of the things that he does wonderfully in this movie. This movie makes you feel uncomfortable. It's not just what you see, it's what you hear, it's what you feel.
And I think the lack of jump scares really hits home because people were probably used to it. But do you like the scene, man, where she's in there at his computer and she sees the thing that he's been typing over and over and over, the same thing. Mm-hmm. And, you're thinking he's going to pop up right behind her and it's going to be a thing. But no, what does Kubrick do? He's actually like 2 or 3 pillars back, just looking at her. You know what I mean? He didn't come up. I mean, that was just,
he's just watching her.
Ridiculous.
Like, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy over and over and over again. It's one thing if it was a page. No,
it's a manifesto,
novel.
Man.
Yeah, it's a novel. And if you notice the way that it's typed out, it's typed as if it's a novel because there's breaks in it, and there's where it looks like there's breaks in the paragraph.
Chapters and all that.
Yeah, chapter breakdowns, but it's the same words over and over again. And just the coloring that they use. I know it's 1980, so you get that kind of 1970s, 80s look.
Yeah.
But the carpet is disturbing. The patterns in the carpet are disturbing. The pictures are disturbing. The decorations are disturbing. Everything about this movie is made to make you feel uncomfortable.
I'll tell you what else kind of made me uncomfortable, and I don't know why, but when he's on his big wheel and he's on carpet, and then he goes onto those wood floors or whatever, and he goes back onto the carpet, and he goes, and he's like turning, and I'm like, this is really freaky, and I don't know why, but it sounded amazing.
That is a scene from the very first time I saw this movie to the last time I saw this movie a few days ago, still haunts me.
I don't know
exactly
why.
Right. If you didn't mention it, I would. There's something about the sound of his big wheel that goes from the hardwood to the carpet, because there's no background music.
No.
There's nothing. It's just the sound of him pumping, and you hear it, and it's quiet, and it's quiet. And the camera follows behind the big wheel. So we see what Danny's going to see.
Yeah.
And it is just so creepy. The way Kubrick is so good about restricting what the audience sees, witnesses, feels. He is controlling your emotions from the very beginning.
Oh, yeah.
And that's just wonderful.
But I just think that was really well shot too, man. I mean, that I heard that, and I had my surround sound on and all that, and just to hear the and then nothing, and I was like, man, this is really creepy. And you're like, he's going to come around one of these corners, and there's going to be something there to jump scare you or whatever. But no, Kubrick.
I can't imagine what that was like in the theater. Can you imagine being a super dark, quiet theater, and you have that
Dolby
sound just going?
Oh yeah,
that would be so creepy. But that's what Kubrick does. He's so good at making you feel creepy. And I hate to say this, but part of the creepiness that I felt was Shelley Duvall.
Oh yes,
she looks terrible in this movie. She's beaten down. There's about, what would you say, halfway through, or would you say from the beginning, where she's always on eggshells around her husband?
Well, I think I would have to say, like, probably from the beginning, because, the whole, she's on edge with that, but let's think about it. She's been on edge with her son for a while now, because basically Jack, if you will, has put his hands on Danny at some point, and what did he do? Break his arm or something?
Yeah, he broke his arm. But those things happen.
But those things happen. Those things happen.
You grab it just the right way.
And so I think he may have done something to her before. I kind of get that, and then, all she wants to do is, like, she tries to cook him food, dinner or whatever, and she tries to bring it into that room, and he's like, I told you never to come into this room. Matter of fact, if you see me in here and you don't hear the typewriter, I'm working. Don't come in here at all. If you come in here and the typewriter's going, I'm working. Don't come in here. I mean, you can just tell she had been mentally abused by this guy far before they ever got to the hotel.
That scene you just described is one of the scariest scenes.
Oh yeah, that one right there. It just,
because you're just waiting for him to smack.
Oh man, and yeah, and I'll tell you another creepy thing is the way Jack Nicholson walks with that limp, with that axe. Something creepy about that too, and I don't know why.
Yeah, when he's sitting there working, he just gets onto her. Well, whether you hear the typing or not, that scene to me, there's no blood, there's no monsters, there's no creep. It's just, he cracks.
Yeah, it's like the way he says
it. And she is so afraid. And I'm afraid. I'm watching it and I'm afraid Jack's going to smack me.
I tell you what, I was afraid when he was sitting there just throwing the tennis ball back and forth off the wall.
Oh.
I was like.
Once again, great sound.
Yes. And I was like, something's going to happen right here. He is going to mentally snap right here. And I don't know why this scene is in the movie, because it is creepy.
And it's a steady decline. And the old manager, the manager of the hotel, Ullman says, "Are you sure you can do this? Because it's not easy to be this isolated for this long."
Yeah.
Grady, the last family, they couldn't make it. He couldn't make it. No problem. I could do it. I've got no problem.
Yeah, he says, I think you found your man. Like he said, basically, I'm a writer. I'll welcome the peace and quiet or something. Remember?
Yeah. And so here's the question. Was he a writer before, or is this him trying to be a writer?
No, wasn't he a writer before? Because doesn't he say something like, well, maybe it'll take off like the last one or something. I want to say there was, I don't remember.
Okay. Because I think he is working with an agent. So
right.
I think he does have another book under his wing. But yeah, that's just, the movie starts creepy. It ends creepy. There's a gradual build of tension throughout the whole thing. Now, here's something that I want to ask you. Is there alcohol in the Overlook Hotel?
Man, I knew you was going to come up with this. This. Now we're going to start talking about the Gold Room. I got a feeling, right? So yes. The Gold Room is where they would used to have like lavish, I don't know, balls and there's a bar in there. If you remember in the movie, when they first go in there, they had packed everything up. There was no alcohol at that bar. I do believe. Then what happens? I don't know. What is it? Halfway through, 3/4 of the way through, when Jack goes in there and there's a bartender, he's like, "Let me pour you a drink." Right. And then there's several people in the crowd. They're dancing. The music's going. And he said, "Make it 2 of them." And what's he do? He goes out to pay with his wallet. And what's the bartender tell him? "Your credit's good here." Mm-hmm. He's like, "I don't have any money." He's like, "Your credit's good here." And I believe this is when the bartender drops a little bit of the yellow alcohol on his jacket or something. Remember? Just like a little dot or something. And that plays a role because you start seeing yellow a lot more. But you see him walking around that, mingling or whatever. But did you catch? There is a lady in the crowd that turns and she gives him like a death stare. I think she's in black, and she turns and looks at him. She's sitting with the guy and she turns and looks at him. They say that lady is the same young lady that's in the bathtub naked. Ooh. That she is actually in that, ballroom.
She's in that ballroom.
So
I didn't know that.
Yeah. That whole ballroom scene, pivotal point of the movie, I think, because that's when something really crazy is going on.
Because they do make it a point to show the ballroom has no alcohol in it at all. They've taken the alcohol out. In fact, the hotel manager tells them, "We take the alcohol out. It's too much of a temptation. We don't want to put it out there." And Jack Nicholson says, "Don't worry about it. I don't drink."
But he has drunk in the past. I think that's how Danny got hurt. But,
he was.
But Bond, how would you like to be when you go in there and the cook and he's like, "Yeah, we got 48 sirloins and 50 pounds of hamburger." And I mean, I'm like drooling over here. He's telling me all this. I was like, man, they slaughtered a whole army of cows for this movie. I mean,
dude, I love that scene.
He's like, "Yeah, we got 3 turkeys or whatever he said." I don't know all of what he said, but they had everything you could ever want for as long as they were going to be there.
Yeah, we got 52 pounds of hamburger. He's going through the whole. No, what's funny about that is later in the movie, I don't know if you caught this, but later in the movie, Shelley Duvall is sitting there with Danny in the kitchen, and she's preparing a meal. I don't know what meal she's preparing, and she opens up this huge industrial can of fruit salad. And she pours this like 3-gallon container of fruit salad into a bowl, opens up the can and pours it in the bowl. I was like, there's only 3 of them. They probably shouldn't be eating a gallon of fruit salad each.
Right.
Because this thing is huge. And I was like, and I thought about that going, wait a minute. That's the way they've had to eat every meal. Every can of green beans they opened, every can of whatever they opened.
Everything, because everything was probably economy size.
Yeah, they were all huge industrial sized cans of food. So I was like, man, you better really love green beans. Because but yeah, I love that. And I thought the same thing. I was like, man, all you can eat ice cream all winter long. Here's a whole freezer full of meats and cheeses and all this kind. Oh man, you couldn't. I'd come out weighing, 100 more pounds.
Why? When you could run around laps around that hotel.
You could, as long as you stayed away from room 237.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Bad things happen in room 237.
In fact, what's his name? Warns him, right? Scatman Crothers, man.
Bill.
Yeah. Yeah. Dick Halloran. He actually warns him, stay away from room 237. Right? He uses the shine.
Yeah.
And tell Danny to stay away from that room.
But where does his tricycle stop, Bond? When he's riding around that tricycle, right there in 237, doors open, dude.
So here's a question. You have kids. I have kids. Would you let your kids have free reign of the hotel?
No, absolutely not. No.
But you're the only 3 people there.
Are they?
Dad's working. Working. Dad's in this big room. Can't bother him.
But if that's true, he's doing this while she's in the kitchen cooking, for one, I think. Mm-hmm. Number 2, I don't even know if he's on the same floor as his parents at this point. Now, maybe if they were on the same floor and it's a long hallway and you can check in on him, you can hear him right in his, fine. Okay. But we're not going up to level 5 or 4 and letting him run around and do all kinds of crazy stuff because he's a kid. What does kids do? They explore. They get in trouble.
But all the rooms are going to be locked.
That one wasn't.
237 wasn't locked. But yeah, it's like, you know what? You can't go outside and play. You can't go in the main entryway because.
Let's think about this, because they did have that wonderful maze out there in the gardens.
And it didn't start snowing when they first started.
Right.
There.
So he probably got to go outside, because I do believe him and Shelley Duvall go outside, remember, and wander around in there for a while.
They do.
Which plays a pivotal role at the end of this movie, I do believe. But that scene where they're out there in that maze and Jack Nicholson walks over to that table and it has a model of that maze or whatever, and it starts zooming in and you see Wendy and Danny running through that maze. That was one of the best shots of the entire movie. I love that part.
The cinematography, man, is amazing.
Excellent.
John Alcott did the cinematography and he did an amazing job. Little things like that throughout the movie.
Right.
So what do you think about room 237, man? Not the place to take a bath?
No, right. You know what? They never really said anything about what happened there. Right?
Is that the room that where the murders took place? Is that the room where Grady killed his family?
I don't. I think you could probably make that assumption. But is the lady that comes out of the tub, is that Mrs. Grady?
I think so.
You think so?
Yeah, I think that's Mrs. Grady.
Well, then why didn't the twins show up in the room too? They didn't.
They're like
they
out in the hall.
They show up out in the hallway.
Out in the hall.
So did he kill them elsewhere?
Yeah, I think so.
I'll have to remember that, because I know he said he hacked them up in pieces or whatever, but I don't remember at the beginning what he said. Just that he did do it.
So when does Jack Torrance lose his mind?
I think it's already slipping before he even gets there.
So you think he's already?
I don't want to say losing his mind, but I think the stress of him not being able to, what was that job? What was it where he went to somewhere and they were talking about, well, we can go do this and we can be set. And I can have time to write my book and we can have money and all this. So
sure.
To me, if you look at their house, remember when he calls and he says, hey, I haven't heard anything yet, but as soon as I do, I'll call for you guys or whatever. And let's face it, they're going to stay for 3 months. I believe it was 3 months or 4 months.
It's like 4 or 5 months. It's really long.
They didn't really take a lot of stuff to be there for 4 or 5 months, did they?
No.
All they had was that little station wagon, I think, wasn't it? Or what was it? Station wagon?
I think it's like a station wagon. They take very little things. Well, I mean, of course, they're going to do some laundry. Right, they don't have any pets. Right. You can't, like I said, 4 months, let's say 3 months of that, you can't even go outside. So you're lucky you're not just wearing pajama bottoms for 3.5 months.
But I think when he really starts to turn, that I really felt that he was turning is when he was just getting mad for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
And it really, really comes to fruition when that, like I said, when he walks in there and she's just trying to bring him dinner and he goes off on that tangent on her about don't ever come in here, blah, blah, blah. And I can't remember if it was before or after this. Aren't they laying in bed one point and she walks in there are you going to get up? Is he like sitting on the side of the bed? Are you going to get up?
Oh yeah. She like casually mentions, hey, are you going to write today? Are you going to do any writing today?
And I think he was already gone by then.
Yeah. Well, that's one of those get off my back, woman.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Type moments.
Yeah.
And when he goes in there, I don't think he can write. He's got writer's block and he's got the pressure of their future relies on this book that's supposed to be coming out. They're struggling financially. They're struggling emotionally. And I think you're right. Right around that point, that's the part I was going to say, is right around that point is when it just became too much. And that's why he goes in there to simulate drinking, because he used to be an alcoholic. So he goes into that bar, and I think he went to that bar knowing that there's no alcohol. He just wants to sit at the bar, because sitting at the bar means I can relax. I don't have to worry about my family, my job. I can relax and just sit at the bar.
But does he say something like, you were the best bartender from here to Oregon or something? Doesn't he say something crazy like that to the bartender?
He compliments the bartender.
So here's my question to you. Do you think that it is actually Grady possessing him at this point? I think
it's the hotel.
You just think it's the hotel?
I think it's the hotel possessing him, because Grady's a ghost. The bartender's a ghost. All the figures in the ballroom are ghost. The quote unquote twins are ghost. The young lady / old lady in the tub is a ghost. This whole hotel is filled with ghosts and spirits and evil. And it creeps up on, that's why he starts getting short. It's his tension plus the haunted pressure of the hotel.
Right. But I didn't know if all those people that were in the hotel are people that have died there from, hey, come watch this for the winter. And they end up murdering their family. And then they go crazy. You know what I mean? I didn't know if they were like trapped spirits that way.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe Grady was trying to possess him, because what'd he do? He killed his wife and then he kills his family, which you see that playing out with what Jack's doing.
Mm-hmm. In fact, Grady kind of gives him permission or peer pressures him into doing something about his wife.
Yeah.
She needs to be corrected.
Yeah.
Right? Sounds like your wife needs to be corrected.
Yeah.
And so he gives him permission to go out there.
Can you take care of that for us?
Yeah,
He's like,
exactly.
I'll do it.
And
don't
so,
let us down,
but that's not Grady. That's the hotel. The hotel is pulling him in. The ghost of Grady, the ghost, because there's no alcohol in the hotel. It's a ghost offering an alcoholic a drink.
A ghost drink.
So I don't really think there's a drink at all. I think he thinks he's drinking. I don't think alcohol just appears out of nowhere. I think he thinks he's drinking the whole time. I think the people in the background maybe are not spirits of people who died at the hotel, but maybe they're an imprint of a time, because sometimes they say ghosts can imprint in a certain time. And so that's why you have the ballroom full of dancing people and the music going. That's an imprint of a party that happened.
Now the clothing they were wearing, was it more stylish out of like the 40s?
I think so. It was like the Art Deco.
So that picture at the end, at the very end of the movie, the picture where you're down the hallway and you zoom in on this picture, and it's in the gold bar ballroom or whatever. Mm-hmm. And who's right there front and center? Jack.
July 4th,
25 or something?
Yeah, something like that. 24, 25. And Jack Nicholson's dead center, right in the middle.
So how can that be, Bond?
And this is one of those things where this is where you write your doctorate. Right? If you're going to write your doctorate and call it The Shining, this is the focus, because to me, he becomes part of the
hotel
history of the Overlook Hotel. And so Kubrick wants to show that it's all together. The history of this hotel has no beginning and no end. So Jack is in that picture because she's always been in that picture. He's always been part of the Overlook Hotel. So I think his image has now become part of the history of the Overlook Hotel. Now, what would be interesting is if Shelley Duvall and all these other characters are now part of the history also, or is it just the people who the hotel takes over?
Well, spoiler alert, they got away though.
True, but that's a lot of drama.
But what about Dick?
Yeah, what about old Scatman? Right?
He got murdered in there.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty bad.
So he's part of their history now.
Right, but he's not in the picture.
So why is this movie? I mean, we talked about The Shine at the beginning of this podcast. Is that a good title? Because The Shining itself plays so little into this, other than the fact that he comes back all the way from Florida. I think he's in Florida,
right?
And he comes all the way back to the Overlook Hotel to try to save Danny.
I think you could have took that out of the whole premise of that out of the movie. But then again, because you could have played more into the Tony. Who was Tony? Mm-hmm. We still don't know who Tony was, do we?
No. As far as I know, Tony still exists.
Is Tony somebody that's given him their shine? Because remember when he starts writing red rum, and saying red rum mm-hmm. and all that, and he writes it on the door and all that. What's that? Is that somebody giving him his shine? One of the ghosts giving him his shine, or can only 2 human people have the shine?
Yeah, there's so much that shine. We need to see.
Have you seen Dr. Sleep?
That's what I was going to say. We need to see the sequel. We need to see Dr. Sleep.
I started watching it.
How it covers, because it probably covers more of the shine and Danny as an adult.
Right. So, yeah, there's just. I think you could have done away with some of that, and you could have focused on actually, like, maybe it's maybe you could have had the Grady, maybe had 2 girls and a boy, and that boy Tony has been reaching out to Danny this entire time. But she said he's had Tony for a long time, right?
Yeah, she said he just appeared one time and stuck around,
and you do find out that he doesn't have any friends. He doesn't really do well in school, so he's kind of like an odd character. Yeah,
he's a creepy little kid. That's why he doesn't have any friends.
So that's why he made up Tony.
Yeah, stop talking to your finger. You make a friend. All right, so what do you think, man? There's a photograph.
Does he pick his nose with? Does he pick his nose with Tony?
Tony's a booger. So what's your opinion, man? Jackson, that picture. It's July 4th, 1921, by the way.
Okay. Yeah.
So we were close. We were close in the guess. What is your opinion of his image in that picture at the end? You got kind of mine. What's yours?
Was Grady in the picture?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think
he was. I think I saw him.
I think Grady's in the picture.
And I think the lady in the bathtub's in the picture.
They're probably all in the picture.
Well, I don't know if the twins are in there. But here's my next question to you then. So when the hotel opens back up in the spring and they come in there, they're obviously going to find Jack outside Rose. And if they go to that picture and look, is Jack going to be in that picture?
Sure. But they won't notice.
No, I don't think they will either.
No, they won't notice, but yeah, he'll be in there. He's part of the hotel now.
Yeah. That scene of him just froze. It's something else too, man.
It freezes the thing. I think that's one of the things that Stephen King didn't like, right? Was the whole hedge maze, him freezing in the hedge maze thing?
Yeah, because I think in the book they said they were like animals or something, right?
Yeah. In the book, they're big, large, like topiary animals that have been,
right.
So they changed it to a maze.
Well, let's jump into some of this trivia, Bond, and we'll see what we can come up with. So you remember when probably the most famous scene of the movie where Jack's breaking down the bathroom door, right?
Yeah.
The props department had to build a special, they had built a door that could easily be broken, right? But Jack Nicholson used to be a volunteer firefighter or fire marshal. And so it tore apart way easy. Like, he just one whack and it's gone. So they had to build a reinforced door, a stronger door, so, he could actually put some work in. So according to Shelley Duvall, the famous Here's Johnny scene took 3 days to film and the use of 60 doors.
60.
60 doors. That's ridiculous. So Shelley Duvall and Jack Nicholson, they have pretty much expressed their resentment for the film, feeling that critics, they credited Stanley Kubrick with the film success without actually considering their parts in the film. And they both have said that it was one of the most difficult movies to film in their career, which the way Kubrick did things, we'll find out, it's no wonder. But Nicholson said he considered Duvall's performance the most difficult role he's ever seen an actress take on. She also said it was the hardest role of her life. I mean, I can get it. She really looked like, I think she did have a nervous breakdown on the set when we talk about it here in a minute. But so Kubrick, known for his compulsiveness and numerous retakes, got the difficult shot of blood pouring from the elevators in only 3 takes. This would be unremarkable if it weren't for the fact that the shot took 9 days to set up. Every time the door opened and the blood poured out, Kubrick would say, "It doesn't look like blood." In the end, the shot took approximately a year to get right.
Mm.
A whole year.
That's amazing.
So Nicholson actually suggested Scatman Crothers for the film, but Crothers had a tough time on this movie. I mean, the guy's 69, I think, when this came out, and I think it released when he turned 70 or something like that. But Kubrick making him do over 100 takes for just one scene. Crothers' next film, Bronco Billy, was directed by Clint Eastwood, who is generally only going with one take. So Crothers broke down in tears of gratitude on his first scene in that film when he realized he wouldn't have to do so many endless takes. Would you like to see like the film footage of just all these outtakes? I bet it's ridiculous. They're probably thousands of them are probably good enough for the movie.
I just want to know what he was looking for. If you shoot a scene 100 times,
a director's got that certain shot they want, man. Maybe the eyebrow was raised, maybe the eye was closed. I don't know.
Oh.
The scene where Jack is chasing Danny through the maze took over a month to shoot. During the shoot, crew members often found themselves lost and had to use their walkie-talkies for assistance. Oh yeah, here it is. Shelley Duvall suffered from nervous exhaustion throughout filming, including physical illness and hair loss. I think it just added to her character in this movie because you could tell she's on edge.
Yeah, that hair loss works.
Right. Let's see here. So there were so many changes to the script every single day that Jack Nicholson said he stopped even reading it. He would only get the new pages that were given to him each day. Nicholson also said that eventually when presented with a revised scene, he would throw it in the trash knowing another one was coming anyway.
Oh, wow.
Due to the film's cult following, it has been the subject of many outlandish myths. One of the most famous myths is that to get Jack Nicholson in the right agitated mood, he was fed only cheese sandwiches for 2 weeks, which he hates.
No wonder he was so grouchy.
Yeah, man, geez. He's probably constipated.
Yeah, that'll do it.
So for the scenes where Jack can be heard typing, because you do hear him typing a lot in this movie.
You do. Yeah, he's working.
But actually, it's being typed off screen. Kubrick recorded the sound of a typist actually typing all the words, quote, "all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy," over and over and over. That is what they are actually typing off screen to get the exact key sounds. So that's actually crazy.
That's a great perfectionist because if you think about it, there's going to be gaps wherever the spaces are. So
right.
You'd have that.
And even the old zing.
Yeah. See, so you would have to have that pattern of what the words would sound like being typed. And the only way to do that is to type them.
Right.
Let's type them and see what it sounds like. That's great. Now do it 1,000,000 times.
What?
Keep typing until I tell you to stop.
Yeah. I mean, and dude, I don't know how long they type, but they type for a long, long time. I guarantee you that.
Mm-hmm.
So Tony Byrne.
There was no cut and paste back then.
Oh, no. Tony Byrne, who had a brief role as Larry Durkin, the garage owner, arrived on set one day carrying a chess set in hopes of getting in a game with someone during a break of film. Stanley Kubrick, who was an avid chess player, who in his youth played for money, noticed the chess set. Despite production being behind schedule, Kubrick proceeded to call off filming for the day and engaged in a set of games with Burton. Burton only managed to win one game, but nevertheless, Kubrick thanked him since it had been some time that he had played against a challenging opponent.
Nice.
Canceled a whole day of production. I don't think that would fly in today's world. So while Kubrick was famously very demanding and intimidating on set to the point of driving both Shelley Duvall and Scatman Crothers to tears, he had a good relationship with Danny Lloyd. In later interviews, as an adult, Lloyd mentioned that Kubrick even used to play ball with him. For years after the movie, Kubrick sent Christmas cards to the Lloyd family and even phoned Danny to congratulate him on his high school graduation.
Oh, that's
he must have thought a lot about him, man.
Yeah, that's cool.
Do you remember the scene where Danny's playing with his toys on the floor and that the tennis ball rolls right in between them?
Yes.
It took over 50 takes to get right. 50 takes.
Because they had to have the ball rolled just right.
Right, just the right speed.
Nope. Do it again.
So the only shot in the film not achieved in camera was the slow zoom in on the model of the maze with the tiny figures of Danny and Wendy walking around at the center. To achieve this shot, a model of the maze was shot from 6 feet above. Then the small central section of the maze was built to scale next to an apartment complex. Shelley Duvall and Danny Lloyd then walked about in the central section while the camera crew filmed it from the roof of the apartment building. The two shots were then simply composited together to make that scene. So very interesting.
I've always been curious on how much of that hedge maze is actually a hedge maze and how much of it is like you're saying, it's just production tricks.
A matte
and
painting.
angles.
I think one of them's a matte painting. Yeah. Angelica Houston lived with Jack Nicholson during the time of the shooting. She recalled that due to the long hours on the set and Stanley Kubrick's trademark style of repetitive takes, Nicholson would often return from a day's shooting, walk straight to bed, collapse onto it, and would immediately fall asleep. I can see that.
Yeah.
The snowy maze near the conclusion of the movie, so we're talking about that hedge movie again, consisted of 900 tons of salt and crushed styrofoam.
Mm.
Man, that's a mess to clean up.
That's an environmental catastrophe that they would never have today, sir.
So Jack Nicholson claimed that the scene where Jack snaps at Wendy for interrupting his writing was the most difficult for him, as he was a writer himself and had gotten into a similar argument with his girlfriend. Being a method actor, he drew on his memories of those arguments and added the line, "Or if you come in here and you don't hear me typing, if I'm in here, that means I'm working." So he ad-libbed all that just from personal experience. So I thought that was really great.
Such a great scene. You know what else we were talking about that scene is what scared me the most about it is he starts cursing right there. Because before he's like he's not, I wouldn't say he's nice, but he's trying to be nice. So when he talks, he's like, "Yes, I'll be there." Yeah, he's trying to be nice in the way he says things to his wife or to his son. But at that moment, when he cracks and he yells about her interrupting his typing or his work, that's where he starts cursing at her.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, oh, man.
And I think that's where she gets really scared.
Yeah, I was really scared.
Yeah. So according to Vivian Kubrick, in her making of, Stanley Kubrick's secretary spent weeks, if not months, typing dozens of pages, all work, and no play makes Jack a dull boy, for the scene where Wendy discovers those pages that Jack had been typing. For a week. Can you imagine doing that bomb for 10 hours straight for a whole year?
They had to do it, though, because, once again, this is pre-computer tricks. There's no CGI. If you see stacks of paper that has the same, they really had to type it out. So someone really had to sit there in 1979, 80 when they were making this movie and really type that stuff out.
Oh, yeah. So despite Stanley Kubrick's fierce demands on everyone, Jack Nicholson admitted to having a good working relationship with him. It was with Shelley Duvall that he was a completely different director. He allegedly picked on her more than anyone else, as seen in the documentary Making the Shining, which I might have to check out, and also Stanley Kubrick, A Life in Pictures. He would really lose his temper with her, even going so far as to say that she was wasting the time of everyone on the set. She later reflected that he was probably pushing her to her limits to get the best out of her, and that she wouldn't trade the experience for anything, but it was not something she ever wished to repeat. So she took it as, this guy's just trying to get the best out of me that he can, but I'm not doing it again, right?
Well, not only that, but if you want her to be emotionally drained, then the best thing as a director is you emotionally drain her, right? You get her on edge. If you want her on edge in front of Jack, then get her on edge in front of the director.
Oh yeah. Get her
Because
and then yell action. Right?
Exactly. Try not to blow this scene like you did the first 63 times. Ready? Action. And now she's so nervous that she's going to mess up. That nervousness comes across the screen as she's afraid of Jack. And so he knew what he was doing. He was trying to stress her out.
All of the interior rooms of the Overlook Hotel were filmed at Elstree Studios in England, including the Colorado Lounge where Jack does his typing. Because of the intense heat generated from the lighting used to recreate window sunlight, the room took 700,000 watts of light per window to make it look like a snowy day outside. The lounge set caught fire. Fortunately, all of the scenes had been completely there, so the set was rebuilt with a higher ceiling, and the same area was eventually used by Steven Spielberg as the snake-filled Well of Souls tomb in Raiders of the Lost Ark in 1981.
That's cool.
Yeah. Kubrick wanted to shoot the film in script order. This meant having all the relevant sets standing by at all times. In order to achieve this, every soundstage at Elstree Studios was used, with all the sets built, pre-lit, and ready to go during the entire shoot at the studios. That's a smart move. But that's also...
say, okay, what's next? And you go to the next scene.
Right. So Shelley Duvall revealed that due to her role requiring her to be in an almost constant state of hysteria, she eventually ran out of tears from crying so hard. To overcome this, she kept bottles of water with her at all times on set to remain hydrated. Kubrick actually considered Robert De Niro and Robin Williams for the role of Jack Torrance, but decided against them. Kubrick did not think De Niro would suit the role after watching his performance in Taxi Driver, as he deemed De Niro not psychotic enough for the role. He did not think Williams would suit the role after watching his performance on Mork and Mindy, as he deemed him too psychotic for the role.
That's awesome, man.
And also, according to Stephen King, Kubrick also briefly considered Harrison Ford, so that's pretty cool.
I don't know if Harrison... Okay, could those guys pull it off?
De Niro, yes. Robin Williams, I don't think so. I can't see Robin Williams. Harrison Ford, probably. He plays a good bad guy when he does play it.
When he gets angry, he'd be really angry.
Like What Lies Beneath.
Mm-hmm.
He played a good bad guy in that. So there's a great deal of confusion regarding this film and the number of retakes of certain scenes. According to the Guinness Book of World Records, the scene where Wendy is backing up the stairs, swinging the baseball bat, was shot. How many times, Bond?
Ooh, man. I'm going to say, you said Guinness Book of World Records, so I'm going to say 75 times.
Higher.
That one scene was shot, they were saying over 100 times. So I'm going to say 130 times.
127 times, which is a record for the most takes of a single scene, right?
Mm-hmm.
Both Steadicam operator Garrett Brown and assistant editor Gordon Stanford say this is inaccurate, though. The scene was shot about 35 to 45 times. So you got the little bit confusion. But if it's in the Guinness World Book of Records, how are you going to deny that, right?
I'm just thinking about how sore your calves are going to be going up and down those steps.
We got to talk about when Wendy's running around, Danny's missing, and she's running around the hotel. And she comes to this room where a man in a bear costume is having sex with his former hotel manager, but it's never explained in the movie at all, leaving the audience very confused as, what is this? But in the book, during a year at the hotel, the manager had a secret homosexual affair with a party guest dressed in a dog costume, which is the closest explanation anybody can come up with. But that is probably the weirdest thing you've ever seen in this movie, because they both just look at her like, eh? I was like,
can I make a podcast confession?
Oh no, Raggy.
Here's a podcast confession. That scene was so weird that I stopped the movie and had to rewind it to watch that scene again.
Did you zoom in?
I would say I froze. I didn't pause the movie.
slow motion.
But I did. They showed that scene. I was like, and then they just went on because they don't explain it. It's like a 2-second thing. It's boom, boom. And so the first time I saw it, I was like, wait a minute, what was that a dog or a bear? And what was he doing? Was there somebody was lying on the bed? What?
It's so
weird. I had a podcast confession. I stopped the movie, I rewound it, and I watched that scene over again. And I still have like
no idea.
No idea. There's no backstory. There's no future story to that one scene. It was just, if you thought room 237 was weird, you should see what's going on in 248 down the hall, because I don't get it. It is very, very disturbing. And I think that's what Kubrick was going for, was just, it's a disturbing movie.
Yeah. According to Variety magazine, the film took almost 200 days to shoot. However, according to assistant editor Gordon Stainforth, it took much more, nearly a year. The film was originally supposed to take 17 weeks, but it ultimately took 51. Because the film ran so long, Red's 1981 movie and Raiders of the Lost Ark 1981 were delayed as they were waiting to shoot in the Elstree studios. Stanley Kubrick decided that having the hedge animals come alive as they do in the book was unworkable due to restrictions in special effects, so he opted for the hedge maze instead.
And I'm sorry, Stephen King, but that was a wise choice. Think about how cheesy those hedge animals would have looked in 1980.
I think it would have looked really good these days.
Today, yes, but back then, I think it would look silly.
Neither Leah Beldam, who was the young woman in the bath, nor Billy Gibson, who was the old woman in the bath, appeared in another movie before or after this one. So that's very interesting. Despite his reported abuse of Shelley Duvall on the set, Stanley Kubrick spoke very highly of her ability in interviews and found himself quite impressed by her performance in the finished film. So he thought the world of her, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to construct the inside of the hotel, they took different hotels and real hotels and pieced them together to make it look like this elaborate thing. So they took some from, like, for example, the Red's men's bathroom was modeled on a men's room in the Biltmore Hotel in Arizona, designed by Frank Lloyd Wright. And the Colorado Lounge was modeled on the lounge of the Awahani Hotel in the Yosemite Valley. Indeed, the chandeliers, windows, and fireplaces are nearly identical, so much that people entering the Awahani Hotel often ask if it's the Shining Hotel.
Nice.
So, attention to detail, that's what I like. Kubrick may have been a complete jerk, but the way he shoots things, what can you say? The scene towards the end of the film where Wendy is running up the stairs carrying a knife was shot 35 times. That is the equivalent of running up the Empire State Building.
I told you, calves of steel by the end of this movie, man. You're going to go up and down those steps.
Oh, here's something. I don't know if you know this, Bond. So, outtakes of the shots of the Volkswagen Beetle traveling towards the Overlook Hotel, which is what they were in, at the start of the film, were later used by Ridley Scott when Warner Brothers to add a happy ending to the original release of Blade Runner in 1982. Kubrick, who was a fan of Scott's previous film Alien, happily gifted the footage under the condition that only shots that were used that haven't been used in The Shining. This was no problem, as enough unused footage of the scene was available, so I'm sure he had hundreds of things to choose from. So Steven Spielberg praised the scene in which Wendy finds Jack's novel and is confronted by him as a great example of counterintuitive direction by Stanley Kubrick. Spielberg noted that the obvious way of playing the scene would to have Jack suddenly appear over Wendy's shoulder while she and the audience is preoccupied with the manuscript. Instead, Kubrick abruptly cuts away from Wendy to a shot from behind the pillar that tracks over to a distant view of Wendy from behind, thus preparing the audience for Jack's entrance into the frame and eliminating any shock of his appearance. Spielberg noted that Kubrick's unusual way of filming and editing this scene had two benefits. Number one, it allowed the remainder of the sequence to maintain tension without a moment of relief that would follow from a shock. And number two, by avoiding a surprise at that moment, Kubrick saved the biggest scare in the film for Halloran's murder, in which Jack's sudden appearance does come as a shock when he comes around the corner, remember, and he just lays the axe right into his gut.
There was a key word you used right there that we've been trying to grasp, and that's tension.
Yes.
In a jump scare movie, there's tension release, right? There's the tension, the music builds, and then there's a release of the jump scare. Kubrick doesn't give you that release.
No,
he builds the tension, builds it. Yeah, and I think that's what it is. It's like, no,
tense throughout the whole movie, man.
Exactly.
Especially
I don't want to give the audience the tension.
When he starts chasing them, it's just the tense is there.
He builds up that tension, but he doesn't give the audience that release that they need.
So Kubrick's perfectionism, get this, he had the actors come in several hours early to stand on the set just to get the lighting right. He didn't use stand-ins. He made the actors come in and do it. Isn't that ridiculous?
That's crazy.
Nicholson claimed that Kubrick's the only director that he's ever worked with who required the actual cast members to come in and do that. Get this, there was no air conditioning on the sets, meaning it would often become very hot. The Hedge Maze set was stifling. Actresses, and crews would often strip off as much of the heavy clothing they were wearing as quickly as they could once a shot was finished. So Stephen King got the idea for the book when he was on a vacation with his family at the Stanley Hotel in Colorado. They were the last guests before it shut down for the winter. He saw a group of nuns leaving the hotel, and it got him thinking that the place had suddenly become godless. The King family stayed in room 217, the haunted room in the novel, but room 237 is what is used in the film. A fire hose also resembled a snake, which doesn't appear in the movie, but it does in The Shining, the 1997 television miniseries. And King had already been playing around with the story idea with a boy with ESP, so he just combined the two plot lines together. That's how he got that.
I see.
Did you know that every time Jack talks to a ghost, there's a mirror in the scene except the food locker scene? This is because he talks to an unseen Grady through a shiny metal door. I didn't notice that he was.
No, that's pretty good.
Very cool. The Halloran approaching the hotel, when he was approaching the hotel on the Snowcat, it was shot in real snow approaching the real Timberland Hotel in Oregon. So when Steadicam inventor and operator Garrett Brown was hired to work on the picture, he was assured that there was no way the shoot would run over 6 months, and he had to be back in the United States in 6 months' time to shoot Rocky II. 6 months into the shoot, less than half the film had been shot, and for several months, Brown worked 1 week in London on this movie and 1 week in Philadelphia on Rocky II, commuting by Concorde every Sunday.
Wow.
That's got to take your toll, man. That's got to take your toll.
That's some dedication right there. So why was Kubrick allowed to go over time by so much? I mean, because usually, you know how Hollywood studios are.
They did have the one set burned down. Let's not forget, right? So I don't know, but it's probably not like today where you're going to start. You got this date to this date, and they're always like, "Oh, we're behind schedule." You know what I mean? I don't know.
Usually if they run behind schedule, I've heard them giving you a couple.
Did he pay for his own production cost? Maybe. So it doesn't matter.
Maybe he had a reputation of, hey, this is Kubrick. Give him what he wants. Maybe.
So Garrett Brown accomplished many of the ultra low tracking corridor sequence from a wheelchair on which his Steadicam invention was mounted. Grips would either pull backward or push forward the wheelchair depending on the requirement of the shot. So that's pretty cool. Saul Bass reportedly produced around 300 versions of the film's movie poster before Stanley Kubrick was satisfied. 300. That had to take some time. Man.
And I'm looking at the movie poster and I don't know. I want to see what the other 299 looked like.
Right.
Because the movie poster is just a close-up. It's the scene where Jack Nicholson is breaking through the door with the axe.
With
and you have Shelley Duvall. Yeah, you have a close-up of his face, the axe, then you have Shelley Duvall screaming on the other side of the door. Pretty good, but
I don't know if you caught this either. I didn't catch it. So early in the film, Danny leaves a doll lying around in the lobby of the hotel. It is black and wearing a red sweater. Later in the film, Dick Hollerman is killed in the exact spot where the doll was lying.
Oh,
That is creepy.
I didn't pay that much attention, but.
So Danny's imaginary friend Tony isn't given much of an explanation in the film. However, in the book, Tony is actually Danny's adult self speaking to him from the future.
See?
In the book, Danny's middle name is Anthony, or Tony for short. Furthermore, in the book, Tony is a benevolent imaginary friend who acts as a sort of conscience as well as a sixth sense and a companion for Danny since he doesn't have many school friends. Tony is also fully visible as Danny as a person. In the film, Tony is invisible and is only a low-pitched voice speaking to Danny's parents through Danny himself. He also appears almost evil or a sign that Danny is mentally disturbed, often making Danny pass out or scaring his mom, showing him graphic images and eventually full-on possessing Danny and making him write red rum on the hotel door with Wendy's Torrance lipstick. Now, I never put that together, that it could be his adult self talking to him. That is crazy.
Yeah, I would have never put that together. No. I would have thought, maybe his conscience, maybe somehow, like I was saying, some sort of spider sense.
Maybe like maybe she had twins and one of them died and this one ate that baby.
Yeah,
souls. Yeah.
You got the embryo.
Jack tells Lloyd in the bar that Danny once messed around with his work papers. This mirrors an actual event in Stephen King's real life where his son once started playing around with his writing notes. Mm-hmm. He felt like killing him. You don't mess with the writer's notes.
No.
During the scene where Wendy brings Jack's breakfast in bed, it can be seen in the reflection in the mirror that Jack's t-shirt says Stovington on it. While not mentioned in the film, this is the name of the school that Jack used to teach at in the novel. Stephen King has said he doesn't understand why people find this movie scary. It's not really scary. It's more psychological, I think.
It's very creepy.
How about this? Jack Nicholson is a big tennis fan. So during this grueling shoot, the Wimbledon tennis tournament was in full swing in the UK, and Jack had to find a way to take some time off to attend. So he feigned a back pain and asked for a few days off. Because of his star status, though, Stanley Kubrick granted it to him, right? Granted him the break. But unfortunately for Jack, Kubrick later saw him on a production TV set seated in the Wimbledon crowd, flanked by two women. Kubrick was apparently furious about the whole incident.
That is awesome.
That is the biggest you got caught.
Well, it's funny because I could just see Jack going up to Stanley, goes, "Hey man, like my back's killing me. I'm going to have to take a day off,
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, he's at Wimbledon.
With two
he's
women.
On the big Jumbotron.
Yeah, like that Coldplay concert, right?
Yeah, exactly. He got Coldplayed. It's like, wait a minute.
Oh, man. So the maze was constructed on an airfield near Elstree Studios by weaving branches to chicken wire mounted on empty plywood boxes. The maze was shot using an extremely short lens, which was only 9.8 millimeters, which gives a horizontal viewing angle of 90 degrees, which was kept dead level at all times to make the hedges seem much more bigger and more imposing than they were in actual reality. So then again, trick shots.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. This is where the guy actually, to get the smoothness of the opening shot, the cameraman Greg McAgillivray secured a wide-angle Aeroflex camera to the front of a helicopter, then balanced the blades to remove any vibrations. Even the shot where the camera comes down behind the car and passes it out and goes over the edge is done via the helicopter. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. There's only actually one on-screen murder in this film. That is, of course, Dick. Philip Stone recalled the scene with Jack Nicholson. We shot it 50 or 60 times, I should think, always in one take. Then Jack Nicholson, Stanley, and I would sit down and look at each other, take on video, and Jack would say, "That was pretty good, wasn't it, Stanley?" And Stanley would say, "Yes, it was. Now let's do it again."
Exactly, man.
That is crazy.
Okay. If I'm looking at these multiple takes, let me run this by you, Jimbo. Good news and bad news. All right. Kubrick does multiple takes 30, 40, 50 times. There is the bed, like the bathtub scene where the naked girl gets out and walks slowly towards Jack, and then they start kissing. Right? Did he have to do that scene 50 or 60 times?
We're getting ready to get there. I got it in my notes.
Okay, because I think I'd blow that
it.
scene a few times. Sorry about that, Stanley. Can we do that one again?
Stan, we're going to have to do that again. Wait till she gets a load of me.
Exactly. I'd be blowing that scene on purpose.
With the old lady, right? So Stanley Kubrick personally panned the camera during the famous shot of Jack swinging the axe into the bathroom door himself. The camera was tripod mounted, and Kubrick moved the pan handle in synchronization with each swing while keeping his eye on the monitor. So, say what you will, the guy had a vision, and he wanted to hit that vision.
He's a genius.
I guess Jack finds a scrapbook in the novel, but it actually makes appearance in this movie. It's next to his typewriter when Jack tells Wendy never to bother him again while he's working. It's behind the scenes photos exist of Jack standing with the open scrapbook, suggesting the scene was indeed filmed. So it was actually on there. Now, whether it made it into the original cut, we don't know. And I like how, I guess in the novel they make a big deal about the boiler. It's big, but they only mention it like one time in this, maybe twice.
It's not a big deal.
Like the boiler. No. So you've already talked about Danny growing up and being that. So Jack Nicholson and Joe Turkel rehearsed the Gold Room scene for 6 weeks. Turkel said it was his favorite scene in the film, which is a pretty good scene.
Mm-hmm.
During the movie, making the movie, Stanley Kubrick would occasionally call Stephen King at 3 a.m. in the morning and ask him questions like, "Do you believe in God?" Steven Spielberg had heard this story and he asked Kubrick if it was true, and Kubrick had denied that it happened, but of course you're going to say it didn't happen, right? All right, here we go. Leah Bedlam, who plays the nude young woman in the bathtub, said in a 2018 interview that she was working as a photographic model in London, and her agent was approached by Hawks Films to supply girls for the ballroom scenes. So she was sent along with them. She brought her modeling portfolio, and when the director and producer saw the several nude photos she posed for, they changed their minds and offered her the part of the woman in the bath instead. She had said she enjoyed working with Stanley Kubrick, who was a true gentleman on the set. They ended up filming an incredible amount of takes, and she spent a week walking around naked and kissing Jack Nicholson over and over. She had years of experience posing nude as a model, and she wasn't shy. So being shy, she said, is no issue for me. And was just basically walking around totally naked with a room full of men, however long it took.
Well, I have to admit, it'd be the first day or two, I'm loving work. But after a week, I'd be like, can we just, all right, yeah, I get it. She's naked. We go, what's the next scene? And saying,
approximately 4,000 people had auditioned for the role of Danny over a 6-month period. How about when Wendy runs into the skeletons? Remember that? They are actually of certain people an extra seen alive during the earlier ballroom scene. In the center is Grady, his hair slightly longer due to the skin retracting, with the same drink he spilled on Jack.
Oh,
that's so cool. That's another weird scene too. It's just stuff's just thrown in here. But Kubrick's first choice to play the little kid Danny was going to be Cary Guffey. Do you know who that was?
No, I don't.
He was the young boy from Close Encounters of the Third Kind. That kid would have nailed it too.
Yeah, he's great.
But his parents turned down the offer due to the film's subject matter. The eerie music for strings section of the soundtrack was previously used in 2 Doctor Who serials in 1967. So, following the film's initial mixed reception, here you go, Bond, you didn't mention this earlier. The Shining was nominated for 2 Golden Raspberry Awards. Worst Actress for Shelley Duvall and Worst Director for Stanley Kubrick, losing both awards. However, on March 31st, 2022, the Razzie Committee came together and officially rescinded Duvall's nomination, stating, quote, "We have since discovered that Duvall's performance was impacted by Stanley Kubrick's treatment on her throughout the production." So they did the right thing, and they would just say, you're not a Razzie, even a nominee.
That's good news. That's good news, yes. I think. But I don't see how he would be nominated for a Razzie Award.
Who, Kubrick?
Yeah, that movie was directed wonderfully.
Worst director. I don't know.
maybe he's a worse director to work with.
Well, maybe you should look at the other movies that came out that year. It is 1980.
True.
The film was shot in the same film studio that was used for Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. In fact, much of the same fake snow used for this film was used for the Hoth scenes. Stephen King visited the set of both films and met director Irvin Kushner, who basically became the basis for part of his book, It. So, Danny croaks red rum how many times in that one scene before his mother wakes up? Do you know?
Let's see. Hold on. I'm awkwardly counting.
With your Tony finger?
I got my Tony finger going. And he says, red rum, red rum, red rum, red rum. I'm going to say 16 times.
43 times.
Ooh, it wasn't even close.
No. The color red is visible either overtly or subtly in nearly every shot of the film. This is presumably because Colorado was so named because it is another Spanish word for red. Despite receiving generally unfavorable reviews upon its initial release, the film is now regarded as one of the best horror movies ever made. Maybe.
Like I said, depends on the day of the week.
So Grady, the waiter and butler from 1921, spills Advocat, a yellow liquor, on Jack in the gold room, one of multiple instances where the color yellow gradually becomes more symbolically prevalent in the film as Jack moves closer to madness and the Overlook Hotel's resurrection. Our buddy John Williams was set initially to do the score for this movie, but Kubrick decided to go with a selection of music from different composers instead. John Williams would have had another notch in his belt for this one. I'm sure he could have come up with something crazy.
Yeah.
This was selected for the preservation of the National Film Registry by the Library of Congress in 2018. Did you notice that Kubrick added a lot of Native American imagery as well as stories of the hotel having to fight off Native Americans from being built on the Indian burial ground? And Jack,
I do remember
Jack throws his ball against the tapestry. It's the Native Americans. And then even Danny beats Jack with the old Native trick of covering his tracks at the end of the maze.
That's amazing. I also noticed that at the beginning of the movie, the hotel manager says, well, the whole thing's built on an Indian burial ground.
Yeah.
So he mentions that it's an Indian burial ground. So that's kind of why I thought that some of the decorations, like in the rooms and in like the main entrance room, all those kind of like where Jack works, you see some Native American art. And I was like, okay, well, it's got a Native American background because it's built on a burial ground. So it's slight, very slight.
So Stephen King has said that he did not like Kubrick's rendition of his work for years. But when Dr. Sleep came out in 2019, the novel of the same name and the sequel to The Shining, he appreciates Kubrick's film more now because the 2019 Dr. Sleep is actually a direct sequel to the 1980 film, if you will.
Okay.
So it's pretty cool. In the party scene, Stanley Kubrick told the extras, hey, just mouth your words. So they're just mouthing. The Louisville Slugger baseball bat with which Wendy Torrance bludgeons Jack was signed by Carl Yastrzemski, Hall of Fame Red Sox player. Stephen King is a huge Red Sox fan. In the novel, the woman in the bathtub in room 217 had killed herself because she was abandoned by her young lover. In the movie, it's never explained who the woman in the tub is, but in the scene where Grady spills the Advocat on Jack in the gold room, an older woman sitting at the table closest to the red bathroom looks very similar to the old hag in room 237. She's sitting with a young man, and she gives Jack an icy stare as he walks by. So it was the old lady, not the young lady that gave him the stare, as I said earlier, so that was my fault. This is voted as the 9th scariest film of all time by Entertainment Weekly. Hey, in order to keep Danny from getting scared and entertained and keep him away from, the darker, creepy elements of the story, he was brought back to watch the filming of The Muppet Show in 1976. It appears that he brought some fuzzy friends back to the Overlook, as a photo was recently discovered of Danny having fun with Sourpuss Statler. Warner Brothers previously offered Stanley Kubrick the chance to direct The Exorcist in 1973. Can you imagine what he would have done with The Exorcist?
Yeah.
As well as the studio considered Jack Nicholson for the part of Father Karras in the same film, but eventually William Friedkin didn't believe Nicholson could effectively play a priest. That is a totally different movie.
That would have been a classic movie, man.
So basically the whole kitchen set is just a backstage area, and Kubrick's personal office was just around the corner in the same area. The food storage room where that Wendy locks Jack in was a storage room where Kubrick stored camera equipment, old costumes, and other items related to his films. Shows that in one of the documentaries they came out with. The 7-minute scene where Hallerman discusses with Danny when he first arrives at the hotel about their shared ability to shine took a total of 148 takes. That's a little ridiculous, man. That's
that's got to be a record.
Danny riding his tricycle down the hallway is a nod to The Omen in 1976. The acts that Jack portrayed that hits Hallerman with in the movie, comes up around the corner and smacks him in the chest. It's actually a prop act. Yeah, I'm glad they didn't use a rolling, but but Nicholas had to practice with it so it would look like a regular axe weight when he was swinging it into him when he had to hit him. So, All right, Bond, here we go. I'm sure you've heard this before, so let's see what you think. Conspiracy theorists point to several symbols in the film as evidence that good old Stanley Kubrick was thought to be involved in faking the footage of the moon landing. There are several symbols of 11 throughout the film. The pattern of the hotel carpet in which Danny is playing in his Apollo 11 sweater, no less, is the exact shape of the lunar launch pad. The pages of Jack's novel reads, "All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy." The "all" could be interpreted as A11 or Apollo 11. The large Native American wall tapestry against which Jack is throwing the ball resemble rockets. The Apollo 11 vehicle that landed on the moon was called the Eagle. Jack's typewriter is an Adler, which is German word for eagle. There are several wooden eagles in the hotel manager's office. The manager has a U.S. flag on his desk and is wearing red, white, and blue colors. Some interpret this to mean that he represents the government for whom Jack had entered into the contract with. However, the conspiracy theory comes from the latter French mockumentary Operation Ayoun, where diverse celebs, actors mixed with real-life politicians, NASA former staff, and even owned Kubrick's widow, Christine Kubrick, for giving to race against the. They lost its credibility with how Kubrick faked the Apollo 11 moon landing in order to win the space race against the USSR. In the ending credits, it's revealed that the joke was all just to cast bomb to the plot. The people that watched the mockumentary but not watched the ending credits took it as for real. So, Bond, do you think that he was in part of shooting the moon landing or the fake moon landing?
Of course he was. Of course, Stanley Kubrick faked the moon landing. Yeah, Hollywood directly worked with.
I don't think he did. You know why I don't think he did?
Why is that?
Because they wouldn't have shot it 300 times. He would have made them take it again and again and again.
Because they had a deadline of 1969 to get
I don't know if you caught this either, but did you notice in the opening, all the cars are either broken down on the side of the or going in the opposite direction that Torrance's car is going?
Oh.
All right. How many times does Shelley Duvall swing that baseball bat in this film?
Man, that's a good one. She fights him off for a good scene. Yeah. He even says, like, just give me the bat, right?
I don't want to hurt you. I just want to bash your brains in.
And I'm going to say she swings it a good, let's say 20 times. I'm always terrible.
41 times.
41 times. That's a lot.
Oh, man. So yeah, here's something. So Wendy sees the bruises on Danny's neck and thinks that Jack did it. Remember, she goes, "How could you do this?" Later, when Danny tells her it was done by the woman in 237, this provides Jack with an out, like, "Hey, it wasn't me." But rather than making a case that the woman must have left, Jack acts like it was Danny's delusion, which would place the suspicion back on Jack. He had an out.
Sure.
So the lack of clarity on Jack's part is a manifestation of his unbalanced mental state. So,
see, I think at that point, he's protecting the hotel.
Right.
He doesn't want he doesn't want her to be suspicious.
No.
He's protecting the hotel because he's part of the hotel now.
Right. Robert De Niro has said that he has seen this film and that it gave him nightmares for a month. In 2024, Jack's axe sold at a heritage auction for $125,000. I want to take the axe as my prop. It should be in my cave. What's your prop? What's your prop, Bond?
That thing belongs in a museum.
Yes, it does.
I would like to have Jack's typewriter.
Yeah, it's a cool one too.
I think I would have the typewriter if I can't have the axe.
This was the second choice to play Jack Torrance. This was Kubrick's second choice. Chris Christopherson. What do you think? Yes? No?
Yeah, I think he could do it. If you think about Chris Christopherson, circa 1979, 78, 80, I think he could have done it. Oh, yeah, because he had that big hair. Yeah, he could have done it.
Yeah, very good. The number 42 appears multiple times in this movie. In the parking lot, there are 42 cars. Danny wears a shirt with 42. He is also watching Summer of 42 on the TV. In 2012, it was ranked the 75th greatest film of all time in the Sight and Sound Directors Poll. There's a cameo by Vivian Kubrick. In the party scene, she wore a black dress and sat on the right side of the sofa closest to the bar. So I got that black dress mixed up earlier. So that was actually Kubrick's wife.
Oh, okay.
All right, Bond. You got to give it to me. What is your thoughts, feelings, ratings for The Shining?
Oh, my God. Okay. So this is one of those movies that's really hard to rank. You can watch this movie and think it's complete trash and say it's not scary, it's boring, it's 2.5 hours long. Or you could go into it and watch it and say, this is the most amazing horror movie I've ever seen. The more you study this movie, the better it gets. That's my feeling towards this movie. This is a hard one to rank. Before we went on air, that's one of the things I had mentioned to you was this one's going to be a hard one to rank because it really depends on how you go into it. What's your attitude? Are you studying this movie? How are you watching it? As an adult, it's totally different. I'm going to go out on a limb and say this movie is a solid 8.5. It's really good. It's suspenseful, the tension. Yeah, there's not a lot of jump scares. Like you mentioned, there's one murder in the whole thing. Only one person gets killed. There's a lot of ghost. There's a lot of creepiness. There's a lot of tension. You know, Jack ends up freezing to death. That's natural causes, right? So there's only one. I'm saying 8.5 just because as you study it, the details you had in the trivia, all the things we've talked about tonight, I don't know if you agree with me. I don't know if our listeners agree with me. And if you don't, please tell me why I'm wrong. But I'm putting it at 8.5 tonight.
All right, Bond. Here's how I broke it down. Cinematography, excellent. He shoots the scenes like claustrophobic, like it's closing in on you. The camera shots at the beginning of the film when they're in the helicopter following the car, it's just beautiful scenery, everything. The music from the get-go, it changes throughout the film and it gets creepier and creepier as it goes along. Excellent. Shelley Duvall's acting, incredible. I mean, you really felt for the lady. She looked like she was on edge. Like at any moment, she was just going to lose her mind. The little boy did a great job. And what can you say about Jack Nicholson's job? I mean, that guy, when he walks around with that limp after she knocks him on the head, he falls down the stairs or whatever, and he's limping with that axe and he's chasing her. And then he's chasing Danny through the hedge maze. It's so tense. So good. So good. For me, and all the things we talked about tonight, I was right there with you. I was at an 8.5 before you even spoke. So, I mean, you could even probably push this up to a 9. Is it a perfect film? No. I can't give it a perfect score. But I can give it a Jimbo thumb up and say, yeah, this is definitely an 8.5. If you have never watched this, maybe you haven't watched it in a long, long time, go back and give it another shot. It's really captivating. Yes, it is 2.5 hours long. And it feels like that sometimes, especially when it starts dragging, when they're just walking around the hotel, nothing's really happening. But I think some of that was needed to get to where they got, if that makes sense. So for me, I think we're right on the same page. I think it's a great movie, and I think everybody should at least give it a shot at least once. And then
I think people need to listen to this podcast and then go watch it.
Yes,
because
even
with all the stuff we mentioned tonight, all the stuff we mentioned in this episode, listen to what we said and then go back and watch it. And we left out so much.
Oh yeah, dude, the notes that I left out, I could have sat and talked for another 2 hours. And Bond said that his was like 56 pages.
I had 56 pages of notes and I cut it down to 4.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So there you have it. That is The Shining. Well, if you'd like to follow us on Facebook, we are the Tragedy of Cinema podcast. You can find us on TikTok. If you have any questions, if you want us to review a movie, send us an email at thetragedyofcinema@gmail.com. Me and Bond will be on that. There's just, there's so many movies out there that need another look at. Maybe you didn't like it the first time, and I think this was kind of one of them, or maybe you haven't seen it in a long time. And you grow, and as you get older, your opinions change. You can look at a movie that you didn't like when you were a kid, and now you love it. Or you could have loved a movie as a kid, and you watch it now, and you're like, "What was I thinking?" But with that being said, I think this episode is going to a close. Bond, we went on for like an hour and 45 minutes, so I think we better get out of here before your wife kills us both.
Exactly, man. And cut.
Where memories shimmer, join us as we toast to the tales we love the most. The tragedy of cinema. Where memories shimmer, join us as we toast to the tales we love the most. Those we love the most. The tragedy of cinema, where memories shimmer. Join us as we toast to the tales we love the most. To the tales we love the most. The tragedy of cinema, where memories shimmer. Join us as we toast to the tales we love the most. To the tales we love the most. Tales we love the most.
Hey, Bond, I just thought of something else. Does that mean that Puff the Magic Dragon and little Jackie Paper communicated by the shine? Because remember Jackie couldn't talk, and they sing that song, "Shine on me again, weave."
Wow, I never thought about that.
Think about that later.